Case file G.E.S. 894-Omega. Authentication verified. Archive access granted. The following recording is classified as mandatory viewing for all deep space communication officers. Discretion is advised. Incident report. The echo from tomorrow. We are taught to trust our instruments. We are taught that sensors do not lie, that data is objective, and that the universe operates on a linear path. We believe that cause always precedes effect. We believe that a message cannot arrive before it is sent. But we are wrong. Messages can be forged. Systems can malfunction. Even the human mind can hallucinate under the pressure of the void. But time does not make mistakes. The clock is the only absolute God in this universe. And that is why Incident 894 is so terrifying, because the clock was right, and we were the ones who were wrong. This report concerns the events aboard G.E.S. Station Meridian-7. Meridian-7 is a deep space listening post located in the dark sector between the Sagittarius Arm and the Perseus Transit. It is far removed from the shipping lanes. It is far removed from the colonies. It exists in the quiet dark. Its purpose is simple. It does not explore. It does not rescue. It does not judge. It listens. It acts as a relay for faint signals traversing the empty gap between star systems. It is a lonely, automated existence maintained by a skeleton crew of 4 specialized operators. For 20 years, Meridian-7 did nothing but relay static, background radiation, and routine navigational pings. Until Cycle 0317. At 03 hours, 17 minutes station time, the automated receiver array lit up. It was not a burst of static. It was a coherent, high-bandwidth transmission. The signal strength was strong, too strong for deep space. It was originating from close range. The station's artificial intelligence classified the header immediately. Priority 1 distress signal. Source unidentified. Officer James Vance was on duty at the comms console. He followed the standard procedure. He isolated the frequency, he cleaned the audio, and he prepared to log the coordinates of the ship in distress. The signal clarity was perfect. The encryption protocols were standard Galactic Emergency Service military grade. Everything looked normal, until Officer Vance looked at the metadata. A transmission packet always contains 2 timestamps. 1, time of arrival. 2, time of origin. The time of arrival was correct, 0317, but the time of origin was impossible. According to the digital signature embedded in the wave, the signal had been sent exactly 11 months, 4 days, and 6 hours in the future. Vance assumed it was a calibration error. Clocks drift. Relativistic speeds can mess with chronometers. He ran a diagnostic on the station's atomic clock. The result? Nominal. Deviation less than 1/1000th of a second. He pinged the galactic positioning satellites. The result? Nominal. The station knew exactly when it was. The universe knew exactly when it was. The signal was the anomaly. Vance decrypted the audio payload, expecting to hear a corrupted data stream or a computer glitch. He did not hear a glitch. He heard a voice. The voice was calm. It was the heavy, tired calmness of a man who has run out of adrenaline. It was the voice of a professional who knows that the checklist is finished and there are no options left. The recording played through the speakers of the command deck. This is Meridian-7. We have suffered a catastrophic cascade failure of the primary reactor loop. Navigation is offline. Life support is operating on emergency reserves. We are entering a terminal orbital decay. We cannot stabilize. If you are receiving this, it means we failed. I repeat, the station is lost. Vance sat in silence. His hands were shaking. He did not recognize the technical failure the voice described. The reactor was currently operating at 100% efficiency, but he recognized the voice. Human voice prints are as unique as fingerprints: tone, cadence, breath patterns, micropauses. The G.E.S. audio analysis software matched the voice immediately. Accuracy, 100%. The voice on the recording belonged to Officer James Vance, the man sitting in the chair, the man listening to the tape. Vance stared at the waveform. He watched the digital readout of his own voice speaking words he had never spoken. He looked at the transmission source ID. It was not coming from an external ship. The signal had originated from transmitter Alpha 9, the exact transmitter that sat on the outer hull of Meridian-7, just 50 meters above his head. The serial numbers matched. The frequency matched. The only difference was the time. He was listening to his own ghost calling for help from a future that hadn't happened yet. This is where the incident shifts from a technical curiosity to a psychological nightmare. Command was notified. The G.E.S. Temporal Hazard Division was consulted remotely. The order was given: break the causal chain. The logic was sound. If the signal comes from the future, it implies a deterministic timeline. It implies that the destruction of Meridian-7 is inevitable. But human beings do not accept inevitability. We believe in free will. Command decided to prove the signal was false by making it impossible to send. The order came down: disable transmitter Alpha 9. Technicians went out to the hull. They physically severed the power couplings to that specific antenna. They welded the maintenance hatch shut. They stripped the control circuits from the console on the bridge. Transmitter Alpha 9 was dead. It was a brick. Furthermore, Officer Vance was immediately relieved of duty. He was placed on medical leave and scheduled for transfer off the station on the next supply run in 3 weeks. The logic was perfect. If the transmitter is broken, the signal cannot be sent. If Officer Vance is not on the station, he cannot speak the words. The paradox would be resolved. The future would be rewritten.
Or so they thought. The supply ship never arrived. A stellar flare in the sector disrupted the hyperlanes. The transfer was delayed by a month, then 2, then 6. Meridian-7 was isolated. Life continued. The dread began to fade. The ghost signal became a station legend, a glitch that they laughed about in the mess hall. Officer Vance returned to duty because they were short-staffed. The broken transmitter remained severed on the hull, a monument to their victory over fate. 11 months passed. The date approached. The crew grew tense, but the station was fine. The reactor was green. The hull was solid. 0 hour approached. 11 months, 4 days, and 5 hours. 1 hour before the signal's timestamp. At that exact moment, a micrometeoroid impact occurred. It was statistically impossible. A piece of debris no larger than a grain of sand traveling at relativistic speeds struck the station. It did not hit the hull. It hit the external heat exchange vent of the primary reactor. The impact shattered the cooling valve. The reactor temperature spiked instantly. Alarms screamed, the failsafes triggered, but the heat exchange was physically broken. The core began to melt down. The station rocked violently as internal explosions ripped through the lower decks. Power failed across the grid. Primary communications, offline. Secondary relay, offline. The crew scrambled. They fought the fire. They fought the leaks. But the thermodynamics were undeniable. The station was falling out of orbit.
They needed to send a distress signal. They needed to warn the incoming supply convoy to abort, or it would be caught in the reactor's blast radius. Officer Vance crawled into the bridge. The air was filled with smoke. The emergency lights were flickering red. He pulled himself to the comms console. It was dead. The main array was slag. "We need a transmitter. Anything. What do we have?" the commander shouted. Vance looked at the board. Every system was fried. Except one. Transmitter Array Alpha 9. Because it had been physically disconnected from the main grid for 11 months, it had been isolated from the power surge that destroyed the other systems. It was the only piece of electronics on the ship that was not fried. It was their only hope. "Alpha 9 is viable, but the controls are stripped. Reroute it. Hotwire it to the emergency battery. Do it now." Vance worked with the desperation of a dying man. He tore open the panel. He twisted the wires together. He bypassed the safety locks. He manually reconnected the power. He didn't think about the date. He didn't think about the irony. He only thought about survival. The system booted up. Transmitter Alpha 9 hummed to life. Vance put on the headset. He keyed the microphone. He looked at the reactor status. Critical. He looked at the navigation. Terminal orbit. He took a breath. And then he realized. He looked at the clock. It was exactly the time. He looked at the microphone in his hand. He remembered the voice he had heard 11 months ago. He realized he wasn't just holding a microphone, he was holding the other end of the telephone line. He didn't want to speak. He wanted to scream. He wanted to throw the headset away. But the training took over. The procedure took over. And perhaps the memory took over. He realized that the signal had to be sent, not to save them, but to complete the circle, because the signal had already arrived. If he didn't send it, the paradox would shatter reality itself. Or maybe he just had nothing else to say. Officer Vance pressed the button. He spoke. His voice was calm. It was the heavy, tired calmness of a man who has run out of adrenaline. "This is Meridian-7. We have suffered a catastrophic cascade failure of the primary reactor loop." He recited the words perfectly, not because he was reading a script, but because he had memorized his own obituary 11 months ago. He spoke the lines about navigation, about life support, and he finished with the words that had haunted his nightmares for a year. "If you are receiving this, it means we failed. I repeat, the station is lost." He released the button. The signal traveled out into the void. It traveled through the vacuum. But due to the intense gravitational distortion caused by the melting reactor core, the signal didn't just travel through space. It arced through the curvature of the gravity well. It slipped through a momentary fracture in the event horizon. It arrived at its destination 11 months ago. The Meridian-7 was destroyed 40 seconds later. There were no survivors, but the warning was received. This incident has been classified as a closed time-like curve. It defies the laws of thermodynamics. It defies our understanding of free will. Command attempted to stop the future by disabling the transmitter, but in doing so, they ensured that it was the only transmitter capable of sending the message when the time came. They didn't change the future, they engineered it. We archived this report not as a lesson in safety, but as a lesson in humility. We build machines to predict the weather, to predict the markets, to predict the orbits, but we must never think we can control the flow. The universe does not negotiate, the clock does not bargain, and the future is not something that happens to you. The future is something that is already waiting for you to catch up. The Meridian-7 is gone, but the signal is still out there, echoing in the static, waiting for the day it was sent, or the day it arrived. It no longer matters which came first. Galactic Emergency Service. We watch, we record, we remember. End of transmission.